The wind came down from the plains like a low warning, brushing the tall grass and rattling the loose boards of a lonely frontier town. Lanterns burned late that night, their yellow light trembling in windows that were usually dark by sundown. Dogs did not sleep. Horses stamped and snorted in their pens, sensing what men would not say out loud. This was a town built from stubborn hope. 2 dusty streets, a church with a leaning bell, a general store that smelled of flour and leather, and a line of wooden homes nailed together by faith more than skill. Folks here were farmers, traders, widows, and children who had learned young that silence could be louder than gunfire. Old Samuel Reed sat on the porch of the general store, his rifle resting across his knees. His beard was white as frost, and his eyes had seen too much road and too many graves. He had helped raise this town from nothing, and tonight he was not about to watch it fall. Inside the store, Clara May Reed trimmed a lantern wick with steady hands. She was Samuel's daughter, strong in a quiet way, her courage shaped by loss. Her husband had ridden east years ago and never returned. Since then, she had stayed, tending the store, caring for her father, and watching over a town that felt like family. "They'll come after midnight," Samuel said, not looking up. Clara nodded. "They always do." Word had traveled fast and soft, carried by riders who didn't linger. A band of raiders had been seen moving west, leaving burned homesteads and empty barns behind them. The frontier had no walls, only people. And tonight, those people chose to stand. One by one, townsfolk gathered, not with panic, but with purpose. Reverend Cole set aside his Bible and took up an old revolver. Young Thomas Finch, barely 16, tried to hide the shake in his hands as he loaded shells, his mother tying a red scarf around his neck like a blessing. Mrs. Alvarez brought coffee in dented tin cups, her face calm, her eyes fierce. They spread out along the edges of town, shadows among shadows. No speeches were made, no hero stepped forward. This was not a story of glory, it was a story of staying. The hours crawled. The moon climbed high, pale and watchful. Somewhere far off, a coyote cried, and the sound cut through the night like a knife. Then came the hoofbeats. Slow at first, testing. A dozen, maybe more. Samuel rose to his feet, every joint aching, every memory alive. He raised his hand, and the town held its breath. The riders emerged from the dark like ghosts, faces hidden, guns low but ready. They expected fear. They expected flight. What they found instead was light. Lanterns flared all at once, windows thrown open, men and women standing firm. Rifles were raised, not in anger but in warning. Children watched from behind doors, learning what courage looked like. A long moment passed. The leader of the riders laughed. A short, sharp sound. "Old man," he called, "this town ain't worth the trouble." Samuel stepped forward, his voice steady as stone. "It's worth everything to us." Silence fell again, heavy and deep. Then, without another word, the riders turned away. Hoofbeats faded into the plains, swallowed by the dark. No shots were fired, no blood was spilled. But something had changed. As dawn crept in, painting the sky with soft pink and gold, the people of the town slowly lowered their weapons. Some laughed, some cried. Clara leaned against her father, feeling the weight of the night finally lift. That morning they shared breakfast in the street. Coffee, bread, whatever they had. The church bell rang, crooked but proud. Children ran free, and the dogs finally slept. Years later, travelers would pass through and feel something they couldn't name, a strength in the air, a quiet promise in the ground, and those who had lived that night would remember it not as a battle, but as a choice. The night when ordinary people stood together, and the frontier learned it could not be taken while its heart was awake.